Thinking Out Loud. I'm Joel.
I'm Brad. Hello from Detroit.
Good to have you here. Here's what we got today. Today we are going to look at an industry spotlight, and here's the question. Given that Snapchat just had their IPO, what is the future of Snapchat, and particularly what does Snapchat mean as an influencer platform? So let's bandy about some thoughts here. One, is anyone going to catch up to where Snapchat is now? Let's start there.
Yeah, I think.
Do they have something that's so unique? In fact, you know what? I'm gonna take another step back further and say,
back it up, folks.
Back it up. Talk a little bit about Snapchat, what its core value propositions are, why it's valuable from our perspective as a platform, and then we'll get to who's replicating.
So if you're leading a brand, there's what you know about Snapchat, and there's some really basic things that you may not know. So what you already know about Snapchat, it is a social media platform with ephemeral content, meaning it's gonzo within 24 hours. So you already know that. What you may not know is there's three core tenets to Snapchat. First thing is there's a chat functionality which allows peer-to-peer chatting to incorporate very easily photos and videos. The second thing that is part of Snapchat is Snapchat Stories. So on Facebook, you post a status update and it's going to basically last on Facebook forever unless you do something about it. On Snapchat, when you post something to your story, it's equivalent update, but it's only there for 24 hours. So it's really easy to see what your friends and people you follow are doing at any given point in time. And the third thing that is part of Snapchat is something called Discover, which is a feature that currently is available to about 20 different media brands. So think Cosmopolitan, Nat Geo, Vogue, BuzzFeed. Yeah, so it's a very, very curated list of media platforms that Snapchat allows on their platform. So that's the first answer in terms of what is Snapchat. So a lot of you already know that. So let's dig into the more interesting question, which is who's using it and is there a threat by some of those other users? So other platforms. Well, we know that Snapchat is already been caught up with respect to Instagram. Instagram has already caught up to Snapchat. Yeah. There's 150 million viewers in terms of the stories functionality on both platforms. So does that mean Instagram is already even with Snapchat, or is there an advantage that Snapchat still possesses?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think it fundamentally comes down to the question of is the ephemeral nature of the Snap content so valuable that one, no one else can replicate it, and two, is that going to keep people on the platform?
Right.
As opposed to Instagram, which does have greater functionality and greater integration capability.
They do. And it's interesting because the two companies do define themselves in a nuanced way that's very different. So Snapchat is Snap Inc., forgive me, is a camera company. So that's how Evan Spiegel, the CEO, defines it. They've obviously come out with the Snap Spectacles. When you open up Snapchat, immediately you see the camera. Whereas Instagram is more of a photograph company where when you open it, you see other people's photographs that have been curated and you'll see the Instagram stories as well. Right. So Snapchat is inherently ephemeral and inherently focused on the camera, whereas Instagram is more focused on the outcome of that camera, which is the photograph, and less focused on the ephemeral nature of it. Really, this Instagram stories are an extension of the photographs that are already part of the app.
Yeah, okay, so I see that distinction. Do you think the typical user of both Snapchat and Instagram would, one, be able to phrase it that way? Two, even if they could come up with that distinction, would it matter and would they care? And three, and this is where we get into it. Yeah. Well, before we get into potential problems with Snapchat, and we just throw out a couple more. Apple Clips is coming out with something that to your point about being a camera company, Apple wants to challenge that piece of it.
For sure.
And then of course Facebook is not going anywhere, already owns Instagram.
It does, indeed.
And they've, it would make sense, of course. I mean, I think Facebook, they tried
Facebook poke.
Yeah, the poke and slingshot. They tried some ephemeral stuff. At some point, they're going to get it right. They've got their. It's not like there are high barriers of entry for Instagram, Facebook, and others, right? And we have a really, really specific example that I think Snapchat needs to learn from, which is Vine. And what did, well, let's not to go too deeply into Vine, but I think we can sum up Vine's problem in one very concise sentence. What did they do?
Vine didn't pay enough attention to influencers. They did a really poor job of taking care of the people who made their content relevant, who made their entire platform relevant.
Yeah.
And frankly, this is an area where Snapchat's doing a really poor job of now. I mean, when was the last time you tried to find a friend or someone you didn't know on Snapchat? It is a pain in the ass to try to find someone because their search functionality is terrible.
This is awful. Yeah.
Which
yeah,
I
for
think
sure.
might have been
or to even find interesting people too.
Right.
Like to find interesting people for Snapchat, I've got to go off platform, look on a website that's got a list of saying, oh, hey, these people are doing really interesting things. Like, I thought this was a mobile platform. Why am I having to go to a desktop or laptop to be able to find something? So like that part, but I don't want to leave it. I don't want to leave the point about not taking care of your creators. Look, for any platform that we're talking about, be it YouTube or anyone else, you have absolutely got to take care of your creators. I'm going to read a bit of a lengthy quote, but I think it's worthwhile. Celia Goldstein, who is an enormous native Snapchatter. She does all these fantastic science videos or science snaps. We love her. Here's what she said. Snapchat hasn't done much to foster a good relationship with creators. People who specialize in making the raw, goofy content that feels native to social media. These creators, particularly those who've emerged as social media personalities, can be quite powerful in the aggregate, and she's absolutely right there. Many have passionate audiences willing to follow them from platform to platform. Now, after years of feeling neglected by Snapchat, some of these creators are fed up and taking their work and their fans elsewhere. That could be problematic for the newly public company. So, to her, and she put her money where her mouth is, and she moved over to Instagram.
Yeah, she's doing a lot of work on Instagram.
Doing a lot of work, and her audience is following her. So, Industry Spotlight, Snapchat, congratulations on your very, very successful first day of an IPO. Bit of a warning in the subsequent week that has followed. You got to take care of your people, and you got to recognize that your platform is only as valuable as the people who are on there creating content, and it really is.
Sure. The good news, there is some good news here for Snapchat, is I think there's some things that they can do to try to fix this problem, right? And there's some things that they're already doing, some things that we're just going to say need to be in the pipeline, and I've got to bet that they are in the pipeline. First thing is we got to improve the search functionality. I mean, to be able to find other people on Snapchat. This might have been great when you were targeting a really, really young demographic and they like to not allow someone else to figure out who they're following or to track people down. But as a mature social media platform, Snapchat has to initiate the search functionality, and I have no doubt that they will. Otherwise, they're going to be dead, and that will happen, right?
Yeah.
Another thing that Snapchat really, really needs to do, or I think would be huge, would be if they allowed Discover platform to be open to more people.
Yeah.
So it's currently extremely exclusive. They have about 20 media brands, but we've actually reached out to Snapchat on behalf of some of the top science influencers that we represent on YouTube. These are people who have millions and millions of subscribers who would come with a ready-made audience, say, hey, don't just do this with these big media agencies. Allow people who are great at capturing raw, authentic content on YouTube and allow them to have a Discover channel. This would be big for Snapchat. I think they're going to go in that direction.
Yeah.
No inside information, but it really feels like that's something they need to consider. And they need to do it in a way that still gives them control, but allows the user to find the content that they want.
Now that said, and I don't know, this might be at the last point, but they're kind of doubling down on their working with big media companies. Right? They just signed several original content packs with NBC, with A&E, with Vice, and that is going on the Discover platform. But they're really, really focusing on big media companies, which frankly I gotta say that's a little bit short-sighted. Like I get that these media companies need a different outlet, and that's fine. They can be part of the mix, but recognize the value of your platform is your native creators.
It is.
And foster that, allow that to grow.
Yeah, and I think the last piece of optimism that the last point around Snapchat that's optimistic I want to make is they're still really powerful as an intimate, personal network, social media network, and that's really what they do. So people still love Snapchat because it allows them to be connected with their friends in ways that Instagram, which is the biggest competitor to Snap now, where Instagram simply doesn't.
It's too public facing.
It's too public facing. Instagram has like all your best moments of the year, whereas Snapchat's like a handful of moments throughout the day, and it'll be less flattering because it is so fleeting. It's ephemeral, and so they have that core audience of people that love Snapchat, and if they can just not screw it up, I think there's still reason for optimism in terms of Snapchat staying relevant and not going the way of the Vine. So
I agree, but they're ultimately going to need to become two different platforms within one, because they've got ad revenue that they have to worry about now,
They do.
And they're going to have quarterly goals to hit now that they're a publicly traded company. The pressure's on, so it is almost they're going to become two totally separate platforms, and that's why there's a lot that they can do on taking care of the widespread creators, increasing discovery, and letting others have Discover channels so that they can really increase the revenue opportunities there.
Absolutely.
So, all right. Speak now. Anything else on it?
No, that's it.
We're good. That's where Snapchat is right now. Thanks for stopping by. Thanks for listening. So long from Detroit.
Adios.